the head boys basketball coach at McDonald, James Francicelli. So, Coach, welcome on, and thanks for joining us.
Dustin, appreciate you having me, my man.
Absolutely.
Look forward to it.
So James, for people that watch the show, McDonald boys basketball, has long been a very, very strong program, and you taken over this year. But before we get into this season, kind of walk us through your career and how you got to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my 18th year of coaching. 36 years old, married, 2 kids, 5 and 3. They're a big part of what I do and being a part of our program and everyday battles that we go through. And, you were a head coach and you know what your wife had to do and putting that stuff to the side. And it's just a daily grind. But when I was 20, I was right out of high school. I stayed on staff at Struthers, coached 7th and 8th grade, right as a 19-year-old. And I went to YSU for, I started engineering, then went into middle education, math and science, got my degree from there. And right from there, I got a job offer in Toronto, Ohio. The Toronto Red Knights down on the river. I went down there as a young 24-year-old thinking, I'm on top of the world. I can't wait to do this, be a head coach. And to be honest, it wasn't, I wasn't ready for that at 24. So I spent 2 years there, taught there, decided I wanted to come back home towards Youngstown, came back here and ended up teaching at Beaver Local for 2 years and coaching at Mineral Ridge as an assistant with Coach Cole, Chris Cole, which is now at Struthers, one of my high school coaches. And then from there, I went back to Struthers as an assistant under Joe Safco. And then he had left that year, and I applied for the varsity head coaching job at Struthers. I was there for 4 years, and most of the people that know me and know my story and all that know what I went through. And I resigned for personal reasons, and I wanted to get my life together with my family and all that, with some gambling trouble that I had personally. And that's when, at that point, Justin, I didn't know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to coach anymore, what I wanted to do. But the very first conversation I had with somebody was Coach Brazil at McDonald. And he's like, I want you to be a part of this. And at first I was like, man, I really don't know. Sat down with my wife and we discussed it. And then the thing with me is, Justin, when I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm all in.
Yeah. So
I made that decision, and man, for him to bring me on in that situation, it was a game changer. And Jeff's been a good friend of mine all my life. I'm a mentor, and to be able to learn from him for 2 years. And I think Jeff had an idea that when he was going to be leaving, he wanted me to take over. And that was kind of how it all happened. And here we are, my first year. To be 18-0 is a special place to be, going into the night at Springfield tonight. And we got some big ones next week. We got Louisville, Struthers next Friday at Struthers. But that's a little bit about my background and who I am and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And, a lot of times people don't like to get in their personal lives, but, that's a huge part of coaching and the family and the culture and all that stuff. So I think you're doing a great job with everything you're doing at McDonald. And like you said, 18-0 this season. You guys have had a lot to overcome this year with, first of all, being in Trumbull County and not being able to play till after the new year. You're taking over for Coach Brazil, who's had a great career, and you're also trying to replace a top 10 all-time scorer in the state of Ohio. So, talk to us a little bit about that and, some of your guys and I guess just the whole process throughout the year.
Yeah, it started when I got the job in end of May, June, whenever it was there, that we knew we were in a quarantine at that point. It was COVID and not really a quarantine, but we weren't able to do much. So that's when I pieced my staff together. And I'll tell you, a lot of people probably don't know much about my staff, but I really believe they're one of the best young staffs around. I got Tyler Spencer that came over from Niles and JFK to be my varsity assistant. Paulo DePasquale, a young guy that was at Struthers with me, coaching middle school. He came over when I came with Jeff. He came on staff with us in the JV. I kept him. Then I brought a really young kid that's been great for us, and Andrew Carbon, played for me at Struthers and played at Mount Union. So it's been, one thing about us is we're really bought in on what we're doing, and the players know that, so they're bought in. But really that process, it was tough. We didn't know what we were going to be able to do. One of the things we did a lot of was Zoom meetings and getting to know our guys before we actually got on the court. And we did something pretty cool. We brought in some special guys from across the country to speak to our guys in Zoom meetings. And we had Luke Wallet, which is a local guy that had an NFL, and then, he got mixed up in some bad things, and he spoke to our guys about that. We had Eric Devendorf that played at Syracuse come on and talk to the guys, and he was unbelievable just about life and the steps that you take to succeed in life, and I think all that stuff. In the off season, we did some listening with a kid by the name of Dylan Schmidt in Struthers. He has his own gym, and that bonding stuff is what I'm about. The culture, building that family, and getting your players to trust in what you're doing. I don't think we'd be 18-0 or where we are without all that stuff happening. But then, like you talked about, we take we get that month off to start the year, which was the hardest thing there, Justin, was trying to get these guys to believe that we were going to have a season.
Right.
And our administration at McDonald did an unbelievable job. We didn't practice till December 22nd. That was our first practice after that month off. We played our first game December 23rd. So yeah, we a lot of schools didn't go back till January 4th, but we wanted to get into the swing of things and get going. And we thought we'll just learn on the job. We really will. So we've gotten 18 games in, and we're going to get all 22 in. As long as nothing happens in this next week, is where we're at. So it's been a process. It's been different. In all my years of coaching, it's been the most trying to stay healthy, believing in staying in our bubble outside of basketball, all that stuff. But with that said, the tradition at McDonald. It's about winning. These guys believe it, and the community believes it. Look at the girls program. I mean, they're 16-2, number 1 seed. It's just contagious, and winning is contagious, and the community has really bought into what I've done. And me and Jeff, we're different people. They know that. I talk to Jeff once or twice a week. I really do, even more sometimes. And very seldom we talk about what I'm doing at basketball. We're just friends and talk about, if I have a question to run by him, we do that. One of the other guys, and a lot of people know I run a lot of stuff by, is Joe Fieldline at Struthers. Yeah. Joe has been a mentor of mine. I mean, he was my coach. We've been more than a coach. He's a friend of mine. He really is at this point in my life. And those guys mean a lot to you when you're in this position, when you need somebody to turn to and talk to about basketball and what your program's doing. So it's been good, man. We're excited about these next couple of weeks and getting the tournament and playing at home all the way through, as long as we can keep winning. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love that, talking to other guys that, have maybe some knowledge or insight that can help you out in what you're doing. So let's talk a little bit what you guys do as a team. Just seeing some stat lines and some scores, you guys bomb away from the 3-point line. And I believe you had a couple games with 18 and 19 3-pointers in a game. And not a ton of close games in that 18-0 stretch. I think Waterloo, you played them twice.
We beat Waterloo both times by 3, and we beat Springfield the first time at the buzzer.
Okay.
By 3. So those are our 3 closest games. Louisville, we just had a close one with Louisville. We ended up winning by 5. But yes, that's what we do. That's our game. It really is. We don't shoot many 15-footers. We really don't.
Right.
It's a layup or a 3 for us is what we're trying to get. We play the percentages. And Justin, how basketball is. You play with the style that your guys allow you to play.
Right.
And that's what we're able to do. At all times, we have 5 shooters on the floor. So this year alone, like you said, we've had 19, 18, and 18. That gets us in the record book for a single game 3 times in 1 year. Wow. And really, we're on pace. Who knows what will happen how far we go. But we're on pace to be top 3 in the state in a season all time.
Wow.
So, yeah, we're at like 230-some right now. The McDonald record for a season is 265. So it's a special group of guys that have just bought into our mentality and what we want to do and the everyday process to get to that.
Well, and that's attributed to you and your staff. So, hats off to you guys for doing that. So obviously you guys got a big one tonight versus Springfield. And what's it going to be like? Have you coached against your former team in Struthers before?
I have not.
So what's that going to be like for you?
I still teach there. They're great to me. The administration, Pete Perone, all those guys are. Dave Vecchio, my principal, Rob Jelenies. I'm so close to those guys. There are no hard feelings there. Everybody has to understand I stepped down and walked away. They hired Mike Wernicke. Mike, a lot of people for a long time thought there's bad blood between us. Me and Mike are really, really good friends. We actually hang out outside of basketball. He's been over my house, been to his, all that different stuff. Our sons play basketball on the same team together, youth basketball. It's going to be emotional, you know what I mean? Going back there.
Yeah.
But I've told our guys all along, first off, we've never looked ahead to any games. We have a goal of 1-0 every night we step on the floor. So we really haven't really talked much about Struthers. Early in the year we did because we thought the tournament was going to be there and it was going to be a tune-up for us. But when it gets time for that game, it's not about me that night. It has nothing to do with me. We're going there for to play a basketball game, and we're going to treat it like a regular night. It'll be emotional for my family and my friends and being back in there. Is there a better place in the Southern Fieldhouse around here?
No.
I mean,
right.
It's unbelievable. And I'm so thankful that the opportunity that Joe Nora back then and Pete Perone gave me to be a head coach at Struthers. And now it's the same thing with Kevin O'Connell and Gary Carquito and our administration here at McDonald. For them to trust in me and believe in this, it's a tribute to those guys too, to understand what we're trying to do and believe in it. But I'm excited. I'm excited for our guys to go there and play. I mean, hopefully we win tonight, we win the next two, and we're both undefeated playing next Friday night. Be a pretty cool experience for our area. Sad thing is that the stands won't be full.
Right. Yeah. This year has been unlike any other, and before we went on air, you were still wearing your mask there too. So what's that like coaching in the COVID era?
Well, Justin, I'm not going to lie to you. The way you've seen my mask on is usually how I wear it when I'm coaching. But we tell we got to follow these rules. We do not want to hiccup. When I'm yelling, I pull it down a little bit, then I put it back up. It is what I'm not around anybody at that point. Hopefully this is winding down here with the vaccine and everything going on. I got first shot, and I was thankful for Struthers and Boardman helping us out get that. And let's just hopefully it's going in the right direction. And by the time these spring sports come and fall and we're back to some normalcy. I mean, I was telling our guys tonight, I couldn't imagine what the atmosphere would look like tonight in Springfield. Game of the week, 18-0, 15-3, league championship on the line, really. We both have business we'll have to finish after tonight. Sure. But it means a lot. And listen, Steve French at Springfield is that he'll be as prepared as anybody tonight. Mm-hmm. And we know that. For our guys, we got a couple guys that came back from us from Middle Ridge and a couple football players that haven't played in 4 or 5 years basketball. So tonight's their first really big road game that with a lot of meaning behind it. So I know I didn't sleep much last night. I was up at 5 a.m. thinking about these are, and I had to get a haircut. You know that. It's a big night. Had to get my boy Dom Lewis over at the Sportsman Barbershop hooked me up. So I'm excited. These are the days as a coach that you live for. You really do. And win or lose tonight, it's going to be great. It really is.
And I love your mindset of 1-0. You got some big games on the horizon, but I love that attitude. 1-0. Keep pushing that rock uphill and get to the top. So, Coach, having said that, just real quick on not necessarily your tournament game, but what's your message to the guys, to finish off this season strong and head into the tournament? I believe you guys play February 23rd is your opening game in the tournament. So I guess just closing out, what's your final message and final push to your team down the stretch?
Well, starting tonight, we talked about tonight really starts our tournament run. We're going to treat it like that. Let's get we got 4 games and then we'll get into the real tournament there and see where we fall and match up against some teams. We think we got a pretty good draw. We really do. And if we win, we'll be playing at home for a district championship. I mean, I told our guys today, there aren't many other teams down the road that are going to be able to say, hey, I had a chance to win a district or I won a district championship on my home court. But it's just a matter of, I had a coach in high school, Tony DeFelice, Springfield principal. He was big on the mental aspect of the game. So I've taken that from him, and I just tell our guys to mentally be prepared for every moment. When we left the shoot around this morning, go home and get yourself mentally prepared for what we're about to do and walk into. And then once you get there, soak it all in. You're high school kids. You're going to remember this for the rest of your lives. Win or lose, it's just to be able to play in games like this. There aren't a lot of teams that are playing important games right now.
Sure.
And we're one of them. And every game is important to us. It's been all year. We've had 3 mottos, Justin, all year. We started with, when I got the job, we were going to find a way. That was our motto on our shirts: find a way. Every night, find a way to get that win. Whatever you got to do, dig deep and get it. And then we went with continue the tradition. Let's continue what everybody has done in front of us to get us to this point. Let's carry on that tradition and keep it going. And then 1-0, we stress that every day in the locker room. We talk about, before we go out to practice, let's be 1-0 today in practice. Let's win this day and get better. When you get to that tournament, it's a different mindset as a coach. Every night it's different too. You don't have a JV game. You don't have all that. And we had the luxury of playing Louisville on Monday night with no JV game. So we treated that little bit of hey, let's treat this like a tournament. You're only going to get that 20 minutes to warm up. Nobody's on the court before that. So let's get mentally and stay focused. And our guys know what our goals are, and they know where we stand with them. And I believe, you probably have to talk to my players, but I believe I got a really good player relationship coach with them, and we trust each other, and it's got us to this point. So before we get off here, I just want to tell you, we got some special guys, and our 5 starters are we'll put them up against anybody. We really will. With Jake Portalese, he's averaging 23 and 11. Miles Culp, 19 points, 7 assists. Eli Street, 13 points a game. Tom Carquito, 9 points and 11 rebounds a game. And Anthony Ragazzina, 7 points a game. Then we got 2 other seniors, Dominic Shadle, Caden Crown, that come off the bench because huge minutes. Those are big football guys that have had tons of this success over at that level. They brought it over to us. And then we have 2 juniors and a sophomore, President Gregory Constantino, that give us good minutes. We could go 10 deep on any given night. We really can't. Some games we play 5 guys. Some games we play 6. It's just a matter of what we need that night. And the one thing I'll say is, I've had 0 issues with anybody complaining about anything all year. Some guys, they get very few minutes, but they're our biggest cheerleaders on the bench. That's what a winning culture is about. And these guys have bought in, and here we are, 18-0, playing for a league championship tonight.
Well, again, Coach, I just want to say, first of all, thanks for coming on, and just watching, kind of watching you from a distance and seeing what your program's doing. Hats off again to you, because you're running a first-class program, and you've taken over and you've overcome adversity. So continued success and best of luck to you guys going forward.
Justin, I appreciate that. I appreciate your show, man. We really like it, and I'm excited to hear my lifelong best friend coming up pretty soon on your show.
Yeah,
Pat Burge. Me and Pat are we text back literally every day, back and forth. We were texting this morning. So happy for him and what they're doing over there. 3 years in a row, conference champs. Oh man! And at a time where 4 or 5 years ago, he didn't know what was going on there. So right before I got the Struthers job as the head coach, I was minutes away from joining Pat on staff. So me and Pat are great friends. His family means the world to us, and I know he feels the same. And Kristen, his sister, everything she's gone through, God bless them, man. It's been unbelievable to see her progress, and I'm so thankful for them.
Absolutely. Well, again, and everything Pat's done, everything you've done is attributed to your personality and what you guys bring to the table. So, Coach, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Anytime. I appreciate it, Justin.
Thanks, Coach. Okay, joining me now is the head boys basketball coach at Boardman, Coach Pat Birch. So, Coach Birch, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Justin, how you doing? Thanks for having me. Appreciate
doing well. Pat, obviously I've known you for a long time, and you guys had just probably the most storybook season you could have had last season. One of the best of all time in Boardman. So transitioning from that to this season, you guys lost 9 seniors, including an all-state player in Derek. So talk to us a little bit about like what that's been like and how you've transitioned from kind of replacing all those seniors and your new class this year.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, what a great group. Those guys were such a big part of our success the last couple of years. And a kid like Derek was kind of a once in a decade type of kid that came through. So we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but also knew there was some talent, within the groups coming up and the seniors that were kind of waiting around for their turn in the junior class that has had success really all the way through. So it was just figuring out, all right, how are we going to put these guys together? And, as a coach, like you're looking at June, right? Like that's
Right.
going to be our month. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get to summer leagues and camps. And then obviously COVID kicks in and, we're doing a lot of just open gyms and you're like, all right, like we think this guy could play. We think we have this, but we really didn't know until, we played Poland in game one, what we had, scrimmages give you an idea, but, really proud of these guys. Seniors have been great. They've been great leaders. They've been very selfless. It hasn't been about them. It's been about the team. And some of these juniors have really stepped up in the crucial roles. And it's just really cool as a coach to see kind of the next group take it and run with it. Obviously, we've had a couple slip ups and some games that we've lost. I feel like we should have won, but that's all part of the learning process.
Well, I mean, still though, 13-4, and 7-0 in conference. So, I mean, even
you can't ask for much more. And the three of the losses were really close games. Two of them were in overtime that we had, the game within our hands and it slipped through. Really the only game that we kind of laid an egg was at Jackson on the road without Ethan. So it's kind of like the perfect storm that night against us. And so we've been, even in the ones we've lost, we've played well. Getting that third straight conference championship was pretty cool this year, all things considering, and really happy for these guys to be able to put their own number up on the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, congratulations again. So third straight season being AAC champs, and kind of reestablishing Boardman boys basketball back on the map to its rightful place. So, and that's all attributed to you. You've really built this program up from the ground up, and done a fantastic job.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have really great people with me. We've had really good assistant coaches over the years that have helped me build this, and then take it to the next level, and kind of replace our staff this year. And these guys have done a great job, getting these kids ready to play game in and game out. And said you never do it by yourself, that's for sure.
No doubt. So let's talk about these new guys. You mentioned Ethan, so let's talk about. A lot of people notice Boardman with the twin towers. I hear a lot of people call them Ethan and Trey, but I talk about those guys and talk about some other contributors on your team.
Those two have really been our two main focal points this year. Obviously, with their size and skill set. Ethan draws a ton of attention. Everyone's double teaming him, triple teaming him. He gets fouled by every time he touches the basketball, and he's still produced, and he still is our guy that we're going to go to and lean on. Trey is kind of a Swiss Army knife for us. He does a little bit of everything. He'll handle it. He'll play on the perimeter. He'll rebound. He's a kid that's just scratching the surface, I think, with his ability. He's got a lot of steps to take, and he's going to really, I think, open some eyes next year as he continues to grow and develop. Some other seniors that have really stepped up. Spencer Smith has been very steady for us all year. You know exactly what you're getting from Spencer every night, and that's really reassuring as a coach. Tyven Tresco has played a very solid role, with us to be a stable piece every game. DJ Evans is another senior that's come on the scene this year. That really good defender. He plays extremely hard. He could score for us when we need him to, and he's been a big piece, throughout the year. Marco Stiliano, Dorian Belgium, great teammates and great locker room guys that have contributed, in some important games. Then you get to that junior class that, there's some talent there, and there's some guys that have stepped up this year. Seth Cervello was a kid that we didn't know what we'd get out of Seth this year, and we had an injury and kind of reworked the lineup a little bit when Ethan went down, and gave him the ball at point, and he's done a really good job. He's been steady, and he can shoot the basketball. He defends his butt off every possession, which is really what we love. Luke Ryan's been good and had some really big moments. Anthony Hightower's really coming on. Ben Alvarico has had really big moments for us. So I'm just proud of these guys for stepping up and taking the opportunity.
That's awesome. So Coach, if, just looking at your bracket, I believe you guys have a first round bye, and yes. Then so you're the 9 seed overall. It's a little bit bigger bracket this year than in the past. and you're going to take on the winner of Lake and Hoover.
Yeah.
I believe that game's going to be Saturday, the 27th. But before we get to that, what's kind of your message to your guys as you know the season kind of wears down towards the end and heading towards the tournament?
Getting kind of wrapping up the conference championship last night was a big first step. We wanted to have that underneath our belts. We still have one more conference game that we're very focused on. We want to make sure we could try to get through the year without a conference loss. That was a goal coming in. And then from there, it's just using this last week of games to continue to get better at what we do, try to fine tune some things. We're working on some adjustments offensively. To be our best version in a couple of weeks is really where it's at. We have 2 more weeks to get ready, and then you're in that do or die situation. So you really got to be the best that you are at that point.
That's very good point.
You mentioned the potential opponents. I mean, that bracket in general is just it's crazy. As a 9 seed, technically kind of like a 3 seed in our bracket, so to speak. You look and you have Lake, Hoover, Green, and University School, who are all really good basketball teams, and it's like someone's going to come out of that side of the bracket. I think we got a chance to do it, but we're going to have to play really good basketball. I mean, whether it's Lake or Hoover in game 1, we beat Lake on the road by like 5, I think it was, in a really good game. We lost a close one to Hoover at home, so we know like that's going to be a battle. I mean, you don't play a Federal League team without going through a battle. So I think our guys will be ready, though. I think we're prepared for that type of game. With the bigs especially, and playing a half-court game, I think we're ready for that. So,
okay. And I know personally, you guys, you and your staff always have your team prepared for any challenge they're about to face. But one challenge coming into this year that no coach has ever had to face has been COVID. So, how have you guys sort of? I don't know, I'm sure you've been throwing curveballs. What's that been like this season?
It's been a mental challenge more than anything. You think something, you think you have a schedule, you think what your next week's going to hold, and then boom, it changes literally day to day. I think we're just kind of used to it at this point. If you can get used to it. November was tough. We got shut down for a couple of weeks, and then come back and you're playing right away. These guys have been good. I think they've just been resilient. They've rolled with it. And we just try to embrace it as it's really out of our control. You can't help what happens, and just keep reminding them how lucky they are to be playing basketball this year. There's a lot of schools you look like have only played a handful of games. We've been able to get 17 games in so far. So, knock on wood, that continues.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I know you got practice coming up soon, and you got to get ready for that. But I just want to say thanks again for coming on and joining us. Best wishes to the Boardman Spartans, and say hello and best wishes to the family too.
Yeah, I will do. Same to you. I really appreciate you having me on. I love what you're doing here. This is great. I watch a lot of these, the podcasts that you have up, and, really, really appreciate you having me on and kind of getting a spotlight on the program for a minute here. So
absolutely. Well, good luck to the Spartans, and good luck to you. And we'll talk soon.
All right, Justin. Thank you.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
All right, we are now live in studio. I want to thank Coach Francis Shelley. That I had to check with him a couple times before we did our interview to make sure I didn't butcher that name too much. But classic Youngstown name, Italian name. But wish him and his Blue Devils a lot of luck in McDonald. Thank you to Coach Birch at Boardman. They just won their 28th straight conference game last night. At home. So they're heading into the tournament doing pretty well. So best of luck to both of those teams, and good luck in the tournament. The boys tournament's going to start here soon. But we are going to now turn the page and start talking a little bit about the girls high school tournament. And to join me, obviously I've been a head coach in the girls game for a while, but being a little bit out of the loop this year, I brought in a resident expert on this subject. His name is Rich Harland. He is the founder of Hall of Fame Huddle. I'm going to have him tell you about that in just a minute. But to me, he is probably the foremost expert in Northeast Ohio on girls high school basketball. So I appreciate him. He drove in from Canton this morning. And so, Rich, welcome to the show. And tell us about yourself and you know, all the good stuff that you bring to the table.
Before I say anything, just to clarify, we're actually live.
We are
I'm
live.
not just in the studio.
Yep, we're live. There's no FCC regulations though. If you swear, go for it, whatever. So you're free to.
I wanted to make sure because I don't know, there may be something that needed edited out. I'll do my best.
You're good. You're good. So So tell us about what you do and your program and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I started Hall of Fame Huddle. I don't even know how many years ago. 8 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
It started as just a hobby website that me and my best friend Andy Cook started, and before it was even all girls, we just did stuff for fun. We covered the Canton Charge when it was their first year in Canton when they started in the D League. So we were at a lot of Canton Charge games doing articles. I wrote for the Akron Racers professional softball team.
Yeah.
We interviewed some Ohio State players, and we just did whatever we could as fun. And I was still coaching high school girls at the time, and when I stopped coaching, it kind of moved to all girls, and it really took off. And within
where'd you coach at?
I was at Mount Vernon for 2 years, and then Northwest for 3 years.
Okay.
My career record is probably like 10 and 800. I don't know.
I feel that though. I feel that. I understand how that goes.
But when I got out, I already knew a lot of the coaches. I knew a lot of the players in the area. There was a big response to girls basketball content. There really wasn't anything in the area in that fashion at the time.
Right.
My mom used to live in Birmingham, and I went down there for Christmas for 10 days one year, and people were messaging me on Twitter asking, do I know this score, or am I going to any games tonight? And I'm like, man, like I just left, and people are already wondering where I'm at, or what's going on with girls hoops. And so I just kind of went with it. While I was down there, I made a schedule for the remainder of the year. I followed it, and ever since it's just I after about 1 year of that, college coaches start calling me, getting my input on kids and who I seen and who they should know. And then I started doing events. My first college showcase was in 2014. 2014. It sold out with 80 kids. We only had like 23 college coaches, which is still great. I mean, there's not too many events that have 23 college coaches.
23 sets of college eyes on you as a player. That's fantastic. And you said that was just right at the start too.
Yeah, that was first year. As of last year, we had, I've had as many as 160 kids at the events. But at the last event last year in the fall, we had 120 kids.
Wow.
And 57 college coaches. So
wow. Okay.
We've had coaches come in from Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, had North Carolina.
Wow. Okay.
Washington D.C. So the event is all the events that I do have kind of evolved and they've gotten bigger. And last time I updated the numbers, we had like, I want to say like 750-ish kids that have participated in my events, and about 520 of them have moved on to college. So, it's just a great opportunity.
Playing basketball.
Playing basketball in college. And then things just kept evolving. I started a travel program in the summer called Team Huddle. 2015 was our first year with that. We only had 5 kids in our first graduating class. All 5 of them went to college. One's already graduated. Another one is graduating here in a couple weeks. One actually walked on at YSU, played there for a year. Brandy Snow is a 2-time All-American and still has another year of eligibility after this year. Then we just kind of went on from there. We got bigger and bigger, and our 2021 class, we have, I think, almost 20 kids committed right now just in the one class. And then we have several more that are still yet to commit that will be here in the next couple months, but
That's fantastic. That's amazing, really, when you think about it.
we have a lot of good time. We have a lot of fun.
I feel like, when I transitioned to the high school girls game about 5 years ago, and I feel like I first started hearing about your program with some of the local players that we had around here, the Serena Samarones, I believe Grace Magnapora, so the couple Canfield girls there, and then you start hearing other different ones. Is it Elia at Struthers and Elia, and so there's definitely, you have a big reach. I had a former player that I believe is going to be playing with you guys next year, Gio Travari. So you guys get some nice talent, and
we've had a lot of success from kids in the Youngstown area. Serena was one of the kids I enjoyed coaching the most. I mean, you've seen her play. She goes 100 mile an hour.
Yeah. Tough as nails too,
and she was always thirsty to get better. Like her and I have worked out in the lunchroom at Canfield Middle School. I'm not joking you. The lunch tables are obviously up for the night.
Yeah.
And there's basketball hoops in the middle school cafeteria, and that's all we had. And we worked out there,
and that shows you like the dedication of her.
Absolutely.
And where she's at.
Lindsay Bell was another kid we had in Youngstown. Okay. Had a great time coaching
Ursuline?
Lindsay.
Yeah. Is that an Ursuline girl? Okay.
Some of these kids you get. Lindsay obviously has had a lot of adversity. Her father, Wally Bell, the MLB umpire, passed away when she was younger. So we had a great relationship, and we got Chloe Nieder now. In Elia, we had just some Struthers kids, Faith Stiletto. I've always, I can't remember having any bad experience with any Youngstown kids. Every one of them. We had some Poland kids, Bella Gaidos, Sarah Burry when she was much younger. All these kids from Youngstown, they don't really have anywhere to play at a high level. There's AAU programs around, but they don't offer, what these kids that want to play in college need. And, so we get some good ones that come out and come play with us. So.
And you guys play against high level competition around the country.
Oh, absolutely. So, that's the key, I think.
Exactly.
We've played, I remember our second year in 2016, we didn't have any Youngstown kids on that team, but Bella Gaidos was a younger kid in the program at the time. Emily Grandy was a younger kid in the program at the time. But on that team, we didn't have any. We played the best team in the country, the Tennessee Flight, and it was on the main court in the KBA down in Lexington at the biggest tournament in the world.
Okay.
And we certainly were overmatched. I remember, I always tell the guys, hey, we want to play in the best bracket you'll put us in. We got there, we were in the top bracket, and not only the top bracket, but the toughest pool in the top bracket. And the guy that runs the event, I seen him when we got there. He's like, if you can keep it within 50 of Tennessee Flight, I'll consider that a win.
Okay.
And we had a loaded team. That Audrey Tingle was my point guard. She leads the country in assists right now at West Liberty.
Wow.
Grayson Rose went to Northern Kentucky. Angie Troyer, who's averaging 25 a game at ODU. Rachel Chezar, Chloe Shrezny from Salem. We were pretty good. Yeah. And we actually started that game up. We hit 3 straight threes to start the game, and we were up 9-2, and they called timeout. They were just heated. We actually kept the lead for the first 7 minutes of the game.
Okay.
And then, their kids, their point guard was Anastasia Hayes, who turned down UConn to go to Tennessee.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And she now is scoring 29 points a game as in D1.
Yeah.
We did the best we could, and they turned it on. They 2-2-1 pressed us, and their post players were 6'4", 6'5", and ran like deer. And once they turned it on, we ended up losing 80-44.
Okay.
But
Hey, you kept it within the 50.
we definitely kept within 50. It was a great experience for our kids, and none of them will ever forget. We still talk about that game. Like, everybody in the building was rooting for us, and
Yeah.
there's no way we could have kept it up, but we did the best we could.
That's awesome. Well, I think, like you said too, and we've talked to, it's obviously you want to win, but when you're playing against higher level competition like that in the long run is only going to make you better. No one likes getting beat up by 30 plus, but if you're playing the best team in the country or just elite athletes, that's going to do nothing but push you to get you better. So sounds like what you're doing in your program.
I mean, we do it everywhere we go. We even if we don't have a team that can compete. 2 years ago, we actually had one of the best sophomore teams in the entire country. We won the Battle of the Borough in the top bracket of the sophomore age group, and some of those kids, Zoe Miller's going to Bowling Green, Morgan Yoder's going to Ashland, Taylor Strock, Cedarville. Danny Volatich was on that team from Western Reserve. I mean, we beat the best teams in the country that weekend, and that's just how we do it. Even when we can't compete with them, we're out there giving our best, and it shows because our kids go to the next level. We've had 70 kids and counting in 6 years move on to the next level. And like I said, we got kids in the top 20 in the country in scoring, rebounding, assists, steals in the entire country. So when our kids, they're already prepared at the next level. They step in as freshmen and they're already ready to go. So
yeah, and that's
we lose quite a bit in the summer, but in the long run, our kids win. So
well, it sounds like you guys are in that not rebuild but reload sort of category. Yeah. And hopefully, us here in Youngstown, we can provide some talent to get you guys over the hump in some way.
For sure. I mean, we got Gia coming.
Gia, just for me last year, started most of the season as a freshman, incredibly fast, incredibly athletic, super skilled. I think she's trending upward. Hopefully she'll be able to help your guys' program. And great personality. That kid is just hilarious. So.
That stood out to me. The first time we met and talked, it was like, she wasn't shy.
No, not at all.
She came off as a kid that was going to get along with the teammates very well, very easily. I mean, right now her confidence probably isn't real great because she's not playing as much as she probably should. I don't know what's going on over there, but hopefully whatever was going on this year, we can have her for a summer and she'll get back to Boardman and that coach isn't going to be able to keep her off the floor. So, that's our goal. And I just tell her, just keep playing hard. I remember having a conversation. She got moved down to JV for whatever reason, and to me that's just asinine. But I'm not there in practice every day, so I don't know. But I just said, hey, if you got to play JV, literally play as hard as you possibly can, and that's all you can really do. So hopefully next year looks different.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily her stats or what she was doing on the court, but I know that kid will bring it, when she's on the court. She will, and she's feisty too, so she will get after it. So let's transition here and let's talk a little bit about this tournament that's going on. So the girls started, I believe, February 13th was the first opening weekend of the tournament. So we got some local teams in there. We're basically going to focus on the Northeast brackets because that's kind of your wheelhouse. I know a lot of the teams.
This is a 3-3-0 show. So.
Exactly. So we'll talk about the Youngstown teams, but we'll get in the obviously, teams like Glen Oak and, I know they're not maybe as high up as they've been in the past, but, but they've made it to state the past 2 years, haven't they? And no one expected it last year. So we'll get into teams like that, maybe some sleepers, and, maybe we'll venture out around the state as well. So, Mario, if you don't mind, could you throw up that bracket on, we're just going to kind of talk over it. So
where's Mario?
Mario's in the back. Mario's in the back. So he's running things behind the scenes. So let's start in this Northeast sectional district bracket. And, this is the one I'm looking at it. Boardman, was knocked out by Louisville, your hometown. you know, we got Canfield that moved on. I believe Austintown Fitch was knocked out. But looking at this bracket, you know, you got the traditional, I don't know if I want to say blue bloods, but you got your Stowe and Stowe's in there. You got your Warren Harding's in there. Canton McKinley's in there. So what's your thoughts, initial thoughts on that bracket?
I mean, this is honestly, this is a collision course for a rematch for McKinley and Stowe.
Okay.
Stowe they were out for almost a month. Like some of these teams, they had to quarantine for 10 days or, a week or 2 weeks. Stowe was out for literally a month.
Okay.
Once Summit County went purple, their whole school shut down all the sports. So, I mean, there wasn't like a 10-day contact period.
Right.
It was done. So they really have been pushing to get games in. I think they end up getting in maybe 19 or 20 games.
Okay.
And they had like 17 games in 30 days, which, that could go either way. They could have got beat up and, wore down, but I don't think they have. I mean, they haven't got any injuries that I know of.
Okay.
And they did play McKinley early in the season. They were coming off a 10-day quarantine at that time before they got shut down for a long period of time. But McKinley pretty much took it to them. I mean, they handled them. They beat them by double digits at McKinley. McKinley's playing really well right now. I don't think they're going to have any problems with Louisville. Warren, I think that's going to be a tough matchup for them because Warren does have Birch and a couple of those other kids that bring good size and athleticism.
Warren has surprised me a little bit this year. Just looking at some of their scores last year, they and I can attest to it. They were just rolling last year. They were rolling teams by 20, 30, sometimes even 40 points a game. And this year they seem to be in a lot of tough matchup. So I don't know if it's the quarantine has kind of, they weren't able to play until after the new year. So I don't know if that's affected kind of their rhythm. But yeah, seeing them as the 8th seed. And I know this is a larger district bracket, but that surprised me seeing how low they were.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great teams in that district.
True. That's true.
We'll get to the other ones in the other brackets, but I was at the Stowe Warren game last year in the district finals. McKinley is a good matchup for Warren. They're not a great matchup for Stowe, just because Stowe is very fundamental. They control the game. They defend like crazy in the half court. So that McKinley Warren game it's going to end up being at McKinley. That's going to be a heck of a game. I mean, there's going to be probably a lot of points scored. Both teams look to get up and down the floor quite a bit. They have very, very similar styles. I don't think McKinley is going to be able to take advantage of the matchup like Stowe does.
Okay.
Because McKinley is also not really disciplined, or they'll put up with a lot of mistakes as long as you're getting up and down the floor scoring points. So Perry Canfield game tonight should be a really good one. Canfield has already went to Perry and lost. At the time Perry was playing well. We got a kid that plays in our AAU program, Meredith Randulik, that plays at Perry, and she's fantastic. And she's probably not gonna be happy to hear that I'm saying that Canfield might be able to take them down tonight.
Okay.
Because Perry's just not playing real great right now. They ended the year with 5 or 6 straight losses, maybe a win sprinkled in there, but they're not as hot as they were to start the year. So. And Canfield's
they're always
Coach
so
Reel
well
has them playing well come tournament time. Most times, I have not seen them this year, but a 22-point win over Hudson is nothing to sneeze at.
No,
I mean, Hudson's not bad at all. So
yeah,
I got to believe that they're playing well. But ultimately, I think Stowe's going to come out of that district. I just think they're the best team, despite McKinley already beating them. That November 30th was a long time from now. I mean, a lot has changed since then. And Stowe, I think, could ultimately end up even in Columbus is kind of. I wouldn't put money on it, but I give him a chance to get there. So
okay. All right, let's switch gears now and let's go to the next bracket. So this would be the Northeast 2, the sectional district. So looking at this, we have again, a lot of traditional teams you're going to know. You got North Canton Hoover in there. Let's see. Let me go to the bottom here. Oh, and Hoban. Obviously. Hoban is loaded. They've been loaded for the past couple seasons. So besides them, any teams maybe we should keep an eye on? I see Brush in there. Brush is always a real good athletic team.
This one's probably the most cut and dry one, I think.
Okay.
I don't see anybody beating Hoban. Be honest with you, I was stunned when Hoover jumped in that bracket. I thought Stowe was probably the one that they were going to get after just because they match up better size-wise and style-wise. But, I don't see anybody beating Hoban. If anybody even before they get to Hoover, Madison's it's going to be ugly tonight. And then they're probably going to play either if the Aurora or Garfield. It's not going to be close. I kind of had Hoban as probably the best team in the entire district.
Okay.
I know Glen Oak ended up with the 1 seed, and Stowe was the 2. But I still feel like Hoban. They are loaded.
Well, I know Riley.
Lene Riley
is super talented. Who else are
Carly Anchor is fantastic. One of the most underrated guards I think in Ohio.
Okay.
She's going to Cedarville, but she's got D1 talent without a doubt.
Okay.
Grace Schill, nice role player on that team that brings a lot of energy. Abby Stevens, D1 commit to Purdue Fort Wayne. They got several freshmen that step in and play.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe one of the Bennett kid that transferred from Manchester is not playing, I don't think. But other than that, they got 9 kids. If she was playing, they would have 10 kids that could get after it.
Wow. Okay.
And they're loaded. And again, we have a AAU kid that plays at Madison. And I was actually talking to her before I came in. It's going to be tough sledding tonight.
Right.
And I even told her, I said, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of junk.
Mm-hmm.
Hoban is too good to defend Madison with a double team or Riley or with a face guard. That's just not how they do it. They're going to get in your grill.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get after you, and they're just going to beat you badly. Okay. So,
all right. Let's take a look now at. We're still in Division I here, so this is going to be the Northeast 3 region. So Glen Oak in here. We have, let's see, we got Nordonia's in there. They're usually pretty talented. Obviously, you got Massillon Jackson and Green, which should be a nice Federal League battle tonight. So I think you might even said you might be going to that game.
Yeah,
tonight.
I'll be at that game tonight.
So thoughts on this district?
It's Glen Oak is the clear favorite. Like you said, nobody, a lot of people didn't give Glen Oak much of a chance last year after graduating. They went to Columbus 2 years ago, and they had 5 new starters last year, and they still made it back before the season ended down there. I like Glen Oak to get out, and I think it's going to be either them or Hoban if I had to put money on it to get. It ain't even in Columbus this year, but wherever the state semifinals is going to be.
Is it in Dayton this year?
It was supposed to, but they even changed that.
Okay.
Nobody knows where it's going to be at right now. It has not been announced. Who knows what they're going to do? But Jackson had a shot. Coming into the season, they were one of the top teams. Lauren Pallotta, who I consider their best player. She plays our AAU program, so people might think I'm biased, but I don't really care.
That's all right.
She's probably their best player. She tore her PCL, so she's out for the year.
Okay.
And then even one of their other top players, Lena Patabanla, had a bad ankle sprain, and she missed quite a few games down the stretch. So they're kind of limping into the tournament. Mm-hmm. They actually lost to Green at the end of the year, the regular season, and then that shocked a lot of people. But at the time, they were without both of those players.
Sure.
Lena's back should be 100%, I would think. So I think that will definitely change the complexion of the game. I think Jackson will win that, but I don't think it'll be easy. And then they got to play Nordonia, which that's going to be a battle as well. I could see Jackson or Nodonia moving on, but I don't see either one of them beating Glen Oak.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then that's fair. I mean, my goodness, Glen Oak year in, year out.
I mean, Jackson did take them to overtime. Mm-hmm. It was part of their losing streak at the end of the season. They took Glen Oak to overtime, but Glen Oak's a different animal come tournament time, and Paul Waggerly will tell you that. Things change and they tighten things up. I am a little concerned with their depth. They don't have hardly anything coming off the bench. They got a really good top 3, but they're 4 and 5 kids. They really need to show up to get out of regionals. And even make it if they plan on winning any at the state level. If they get there, the depth will come into play. But they got a point guard, Breezy Williams, and a post player, Jordan Weir, that are very, very good, and they're a good combo. And then Anaya Hall. So their top 3 is really good, but I think it's going to take more than those 3 to get them past Hoban or Stowe. And then even further if that happens.
But that just shows how good they are year in, year out, that they, if they're only 5 or 6 deep, to show how talented those girls are to even be talking about the potential of getting to regionals, let alone state. So let's go to our final Division I Northeast bracket here. This is more of like the Cleveland region. So, we got St. Joe's Academy in there. Medina Highland, always very, very good. Westlake's in there, and the other Medina school, the traditional Medina school. So thoughts on that? This is probably the bracket I'm least familiar with, but Medina,
me too.
but I know Medina year in, year out. Really, both Medina high schools are very, very good. So,
oh yeah, Coach Casals has those kids going, playing well. I honestly think this is the one where St. Joe's Academy should not be the underdog, but they are, just because of how the seed rolled out. But to me, they're the best team in the district. They just had a much tougher schedule.
Yeah.
They played, who did they play at the Classic? It was, I want to say Newark.
Okay.
They filled in and played. It was Newark. Last second, a couple days before the event started, they made a switch and they played Newark. They got hammered in the first half. But as that second quarter started winding down, they started adjusting to it, and they actually played them really well in the second half. St. Joe's is a very good basketball team. They got Ellen Neitzel, great 3-point shooter. Both of her sisters play at Akron.
Okay.
Ava Haddad, post player that. I went to a game earlier this year to see him. She had a Dennis Rodman game where she had no points and 15 rebounds.
That's awesome. Those are the players on your team that you truly love to play with. They don't care about stats. They just want to do whatever they can for the team and help you get after it.
And then they played Mags, and she had 20 and 8. So I mean, she is capable of having different type games. It just depends on what her team needs at the night.
Sure.
They got a kid, great shooter, Ryan. I seen him play Mags the first game. They lost, they beat Mags. She had 5 threes in the first half. The kid can shoot the heck out of it. So I got St. Joe's coming out of there.
Okay.
So I would say going to regionals, St. Joe's, Glen Oak, Stowe, and Hoban. I know aside from St. Joe's, it's the top seeds, but I honestly felt like Stowe, Hoban, and Glen Oak were the top 3 teams in the district. So
and, I mean, nothing wrong to go chalk, especially this year on a quarantine crazy year. So let's switch up and let's go to D2 now.
Okay.
And we'll obviously focus more on our region here, but in this, some of the local teams we got in this one. Let's see, we got, Lakeview's in this. Lakeview's, obviously not extremely talented this year, but they're still in there. We got Struthers in there that won their game against Edgewood, and they're going to be playing Canton South. Salem is always year in, year out a very scrappy, tough team that has some nice players. So Salem could make some noise in that bracket. Let's see, who else do we got? And then, Kenston is going to be a tough out there. So, and Perry, I mean, Perry's loaded year in, year out. So, so I guess just thoughts on this bracket overall.
I mean, this one kind of is. I'm going with Salem and Perry as the top two teams. I just saw Salem play last night. They beat Marlington. They have a lot of depth and they have a lot of talent.
Yep.
I mean, their season was all over the place. I think they only ended up with like 16 games. Because they had so many games canceled. They had a Youngstown loaded schedule, and a lot of the teams around here were either shut down or quarantined quite a bit. So I mean, they had a helter skelter year for sure. Perry, like you said, they're always loaded. They've actually lost a couple games late. I think Cornerstone Christian they lost to, and then Mags they lost to. But I still feel like they're the best team in the district. But I'm not counting out Kent South. I mean, they're on paper. I don't think anybody's going to predict them to beat either of those two teams, and they might even have some trouble with Struthers. Struthers is not a bad team. Coach Nieder. I'm actually headed over there after we get done here to see Coach Nieder and his daughter Chloe plays for us. Kent South has a knack for like knocking off good teams, and I'm not going to count them out. They actually beat Salem 24-20.
Oh, wow.
Earlier this year. And that's only one of, I think, 2 losses for Salem, maybe 3, and they're a top seed in this bracket. They beat West Branch twice a couple of years ago. And, it's just, for some reason, Coach Leeser has them kids ready to play, the best teams. And occasionally they can knock one off. At this point, it's going to take them knocking off Perry and Salem, which is a tough route to go. But I'm not counting them out completely. So
okay,
still going with Perry or Salem out of this one.
All right, let's go to the next one here. This is the Northeast 2 in Division 2. And I was actually on your show the other night, and you had Coach Blanche from Poland on. Yeah. And, I love Coach Blanche. He's just a good dude. But they're going to be one of the favorites probably coming out of this bracket. So I guess, I see Marlington in there. I see Cardinal Mooney in there, and Cardinal Mooney might not be the most talented team, but I love the way they play. They are always defensive oriented. They can surprise you and hit the 3 ball. And they're going to fight you tooth and nail, whether, they knocked off South Range last year at the end of the season when South Range got on their run. But they are always a very, very good team. Coach Baker does a good job with them. So I guess just thoughts on this bracket as we look at it.
This one is probably, I'm going with Poland. I know, I think Poland is a clear favorite here, but this is going to be an incredible district, with Poland. Marlington will make it. West Branch will certainly make it. And then whoever wins Mooney and West Geauga. I have not seen Mooney. I saw West Geauga play once. They got a lot of talent with the Hocevar sisters.
A sort of sleeper team, aren't they? Because they haven't played a ton of games. They
have not played much. That whole east side of Cleveland area was shut down they didn't even start till middle of January. They have lack of experience, but their head coach is not coaching this year. He took the year off out of caution for the COVID, but they could beat anybody really, but I don't know, with the only playing 9 or 10 games, that's going to hurt them. The game I seen them play, they just weren't. It was against Madison, and they were certainly better than Madison head and shoulders, and they just didn't play like it. I don't know what's going to happen there, but another Marlington West Branch game is never a bad thing.
Yeah, right.
That's a huge rivalry, and both teams are very good. I would not want to be playing a Walt DeShields right now.
No.
West Branch is on a win streak, and they're down. They're definitely down from what they're used to having, but
I remember we played them last year, and I want to say they were 6 or 7 deep at senior. They had 6 or 7 seniors that were really, really good. And, obviously that team made it to state. And it took a last second win over Poland to get to that regional. But I think once they got to regionals, they sort of coasted. But yeah, like you said, Coach DeShields always has that team ready to go. and you can never.
They're
truly
going now.
count them
I mean,
out.
they're on a win streak, and that's one team that I would not want to play in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Stadoulis has Marlington playing very well too. They lost to Salem last night, but they still got to share the league.
Sure.
And they're having the best season they've had in many, many years. And he's a great coach, so that'll be a great one. And I'm still sticking with Poland. I just think they're just so tough, and Coach Blanche has them playing really hard all the time. So in Grisdale, I don't think she wants to end her season earlier than it needs to be.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
her career actually.
Right.
So
yeah, and she, I'm not familiar with a ton of players in this district outside of our local schools, but seeing Jackie Grisdale play and coaching against her and talking to Coach Blance and just knowing that Grisdale family a little bit. They're just that basketball runs through their blood.
Yeah.
So that will be very, very interesting to see what happens with them. So we'll keep an eye on the Bulldogs. All right. So switching, we're probably going to go in this next district again, Northeast 3, Division 2. Shaker Heights, Laurel, my goodness, that team every year. Sorry, I probably have your papers. This is we're going through 16 different brackets here, so
we really don't even need to talk about this district.
No, it's going to be Laurel all the way.
Laurel is going to just annihilate people all the way to the final. So let's just go with that.
We'll just skip this one here then. All right, so District Northeast 4. Again, this is a little bit of mostly the Akron, Cleveland area. So any teams in this that you can see?
This is going to be another. It's Northwest of CVCA all the way. There's nobody that's going to get in their way of getting to the district final, and that's going to be one heck of a game. They shared the conference tournament, or not tournament, but championship this year.
Yeah.
At Northwest won at their gym in overtime by 1, maybe 2. CVCA won in their gym 40-39.
Okay.
It's going to be a battle if this one's going to be at CVCA, which I hate having districts at home courts, but it is what it is, and that's going to be a great district championship for sure.
Is that going to be across the board this year for all the districts?
I think so. Definitely in Northeast District.
Okay.
I think the East District as well. I would imagine it probably is a statewide thing, but I can't say that for certain off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to now Division 3. So we're in Division 3. This is going to be the Northeast first. And this one's loaded with local teams here, Youngstown teams. Just looking off the top of my head, I see South Range. I see Mineral Ridge is going to play South Range here. South Range is the 1 seed. East Palestine's in there. And East Palestine had a really nice year this year. I think they won their conference. They're still the 15 seed, but had a nice year this year. Crestview's in there. Krista Perry's a nice player over there. Brookfield's in there. Brookfield always, seems to, cause some disruption. They might not be one of the better teams, but they always seem to cause some disruption. So, Coach Fish over at South Range does a great job with them, and their starting lineup is loaded with talent. So, I guess just thoughts on this district as a whole.
I think South Range is definitely the clear favorite. I don't know anything about Brookfield, I'll be honest with you. So I don't know if I think that they should beat LeBray or Crestview. I know, LeBray's not a bad team. They just beat Champion last week.
I skipped over LeBray. Yeah, good team.
Crestview, Krista Perry, another Youngstown kid that was in our program. I would love this. I actually really want to see Jenna Reppert from LeBray play in our program too. I would love to see that game. I don't think I'll be able to get to that, but that's going to be a battle. I think either one of those teams could beat Brookfield. Okay. However, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about Brookfield. Clearly, South Range, even it stinks that they lost Gabby Lamparty, but they still have plenty of talent and should get to regionals, I think.
Okay. All right,
And Coach Fish is one of my favorite people in the world. He's been on my show twice.
Okay.
And he never disappoints.
Well, I saw. I mean, he always, and I've only coached against him one time, but I love that South Range program is fantastic, and I love everything about it. I love the people that run it. I just think it's a well-run organization over there. They're from their AD down to their coaches, but. So he breaks out those he'll break out some even some cowboy western
boots.
Yeah, I mean, if you
all yellow suit,
if you've never matched up with South Range and you didn't scout him pre-game, you might be surprised when you see Coach Fish on the sideline there.
And I know he would never toot his own horn, so I'm going to toot it for him. That guy is as selfless as they come. Like, I do a lot of things, and some of them are just as simple as I deliver food all the time now for a living, through the COVID stuff. And, I've put out on Twitter sometimes, I'm going to give so much money away today as I'm doing my deliveries. That man sends me $50 and says, here's more, give it to people who are in need. I've done several fundraisers. He's always taken part. The guy is he knows that it's more, there's more to life than basketball, and he knows that there's more than just him on this planet. So he's outstanding. I can't even say how much that I look up to that guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, probably literally and figuratively. He's about 6'6" or something.
He's bigger than me. He's taller than me. I'm wider than him.
So this next side of the bracket here, we Division III. This is going to be who would play in regionals here. So we got Elyria Catholic. They're always good.
Yeah,
they're in there. This is more of the Cleveland side of things.
Chippewa's always good.
Chippewa's very good. Independence, I see in there. So, and that should be a nice matchup, Independence and Chippewa. So I guess, this not being so local, but some of our local teams might go against us. Any teams that stand out in this to you?
Honestly, there's 4 teams here that I think, and I don't know, there's 5 teams that I think could win it. I don't know a ton about Independence. I know a little bit about Warrensville Heights. It's a athletic team that just loves to score as many points as possible, press the whole game. Elyria Catholic, obviously, they're not as good as what they have been, but they're still solid, have still played a good schedule. So Elyria Catholic, Warrensville Heights, Norwayne is very good. I mean, the Tuslaws of the world and Chippewas, they've played them and competed with them. And then you got Independence and Chippewa at the bottom. They're just, I think any 5 of those teams have a shot. So it's not one that I can call.
Yeah. No, that's all right. Especially this year, it's got to be.
Besides, Denny Schrock would call me out if I said anybody besides Chippewa. So I'm just gonna plead the 5th.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. Now in this side, now we're gonna go to Northeast 2, Division III. So some more local teams in this one. Ursuline's in this one, and Ursuline's one of those teams that sometimes they come out and they're a little flat, but sometimes they can come out and they can truly beat anybody on any given night. So Youngstown Liberty is one of those teams too that they can come out if they're on and they're hitting on all cylinders, they can beat just about anybody. So I like that matchup, Ursuline and Liberty. I'm looking forward to that one. That looks like that's going to be played on Saturday. Champion again. They graduated a ton of girls last year, and they really I think they won their side of the AAC this year. So
well, they're definitely the traditional winners from this area to go to regionals. They've been there the last couple of years. Garrettsville Garfield, I think, is set up to make a nice run.
Okay,
they got 3 really solid players. Grace Mills, a senior. I think she just scored her 1,500th point.
Wow.
Then Jenna Smith, a junior post player, and Sarah Seaman, a junior guard. I couldn't imagine anybody in this district having a better top 3 than Garfield, but As you know, it takes more.
Right.
It's a team effort at this point, and you may not have the best top 3, but you might have 4 through 10. So sometimes those teams win, but I don't know a whole lot about Liberty. I know they just beat Kirtland, who's a solid team. So and they were 4 seeds lower, so they got to have something. I mean, I would still keep my eye on Champion too. Okay. They're, you know how it is. You can. If you're a winner year in and year out, I mean, it's you got to beat a team like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Every year it feels like so these certain teams, whether they had a good regular season, average regular season, even a bad regular season, they make noise in the tournament. Yeah. And it's because of tradition, program, coaching, all that stuff. So, real quick, we'll hit on Northeast 3, which is Division 3. Again, we won't spend a whole lot of time on this one, but I see Waynedale in there.
Waynedale's without one of their best players right now. I think they're trying to get her back on the floor. Kelsey Wolf, excellent 3-point shooter. One of their best 2 players. So, if they don't have her, that changes the complexion of that team quite a bit. Tuslaw's down there, and they're very solid. Waynedale beat Tuslaw early in the year, but again, Henry Cobb is one of the best coaches in Northeast Ohio, and he's had experience in D1 girls at Lake, coached at Canton South for many years on the boys' side, and I can't count out Tuslaw at all. I do believe it'll be a Tuslaw-Waynedale matchup, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, and let's go to the final one in this district. This will be Northeast 3. And did we get to that one? Nope, we're good. We're good. We made it through that one. So actually,
I don't have that one.
Let's switch here to Division 4 now. So I'm going to skip the East bracket because, let's see. I don't believe we're gonna skip this one.
Yeah, that's a little further south.
That's a little bit further south than us. Let's go to Northeast 3, Division 4.
And it doesn't matter because Highland's beating all those teams anyway.
And Highland, my goodness, if Highland was in Division 1, could they make a run?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why the Glen Oaks, the Hoovers in the world
don't want to play them.
And why the Hobans. I tried to get a Hoban Highland matchup at one of my events, and nope. I would rather keep them as a scrimmage.
And we'll get back to the bracket here in a minute, but Highland basketball very, very well, especially that's where the Classic in the Country is played. And they are a traditional, I think they may have the most wins in the entire state of Ohio in girls basketball all time. I don't quote me on that, but I think that's probably true. But what is it with Highland that makes them so, being a very small town, but just loaded year in, year out?
Well, it starts at the younger ages. I mean, they get the kids involved and they do things to help the kids skill develop properly. If anybody who goes down the Reese Center, they got metal clamps on the side of the wall where they put rims at 5 or 6 feet. Okay. So their little kids can practice shooting with the right form. They're not worried about them making, 3-pointers on a main 10-foot basket.
Exactly.
They get them all lined up on the wall, and they're shooting and practicing proper form on a 6-foot hoop, which is tremendous. And when they get to high school, every one of them can shoot the lights out. They keep them involved. They just so focused on every little detail. I mean, skill development is absolutely the top priority. I've sat in. I'm very good friends with Dave Schlaball, the head coach, who's retiring this year after 30 years, 5 state titles, I think 15 state appearances. And Coach Kuzi, the assistant, coached in our AAU program for 3 years. Really good friends with him. But their attention to detail is insane, and it's unmatched. And people would a coach, if you went and sat in, you would be like, "What the hell?" I don't have time to do all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do it, and when they're film sessions, every detail. their skill sessions every detail. Like they teach kids how to slide and get loose balls. So where they're not just jumping on the floor like a fumble, they're able to collect a loose ball and keep possession. Like they practice that. They practice every little detail. And, you know, most coaches would go in there and be like, why, what are they doing? Or why are they doing that? Why do they have kids sliding on their knees, grabbing a loose ball?
The little things matter, though. The little
Absolutely.
things. And as a coach, you know, I am all for multi-sport athletes. I'm all for it. However, if you're not putting in that skill work in the off season, it makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, you know, coaches that have to spend time on that in season, you're not able to work on the little things like sliding on your knees for a loose ball, stuff like that. So,
I mean, if your question is, can they compete at the Division I level? All you got to do is look at their schedule. They beat Solon by 20.
Yeah.
They beat Pick Central at Pick Central. And Pick Central is a traditional D1 power, and they got multiple Division I kids on that team this year. They beat McKinley by 15 at McKinley.
Wow.
They beat the Vegas Bulldogs, who is from Las Vegas.
Wow.
They have a kid that's already committed to Oregon. They are a Pac-12 pipeline.
Okay.
They beat them by 4. They beat Jackson by 27.
Gosh.
They beat Laurel. Their only loss was to Napoleon by 5. And, you know, I can't read his mind, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Dave might have pulled some strings in that game to you know, make it harder to win.
Okay.
You know, because
where'd they play that Napoleon game?
It was at Napoleon.
Okay. That's a long way to travel for them.
Yeah,
too.
it is. And they got down 20-4. They were down 24-13 at halftime. They went on a run in the third quarter, took the lead 35-30. And then Napoleon came back and won. And I'm certainly, when I say that, I'm not taking anything away from Napoleon, but I know the genius of Dave Schlaball, and I don't think he won his team going in there in the tournament 22-0.
Okay. Okay.
And
interesting.
You know those great coaches do those things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they lost on purpose, but I'm guessing he probably did some things to stack the deck against his own team.
Interesting.
In ways. And maybe if he hears us, he might text me and say, you're such a...
Well, if he's listening, 330-595-1600, you can call in right now. But all right, let's get back to the bracket here just to kind of round out. So this is going to be Northeast 1 of Division 4. So you got some more local teams in this one. We have McDonald in this one. Let's see who else we got. Springfield's in there. Newton Falls. Newton Falls always well coached. Coach Baker over there. I think he does the most he gets the most out of his talent. I don't want to say he does the most with the least, but he gets the most out of his talent over there.
You want to see a loud coach, go to Newton Falls game.
We've scrimmaged against them plenty of times. He gets after it, no doubt.
Coach Baker is a great dude. I mean, I know him personally. I would consider him my friend. But in pregame huddles, he's the one standing in the middle doing all the yelling and screaming. And it definitely catches your attention. And it definitely gets his kids' blood moving for sure.
No doubt.
I don't think anybody can beat McDonald in that district, though. I think that's pretty cut and dry from what I can see.
Okay. All right. Yeah. McDonald on the boys and the girls side this year is very, very loaded. And then let's look at our that's the same one. Let's go to Northeast 2, which this one is going to feature one of our local teams again, too, in Western Reserve. Western Reserve has played a lot of higher level competition this year, and they've played South Range, they've played Poland. You know, they've loaded up their schedule a lot this year and shown that they can compete against just about anybody. You know, Danny Vuletich over there going to, I believe she's going to Robert Morris. Yeah. You know, has been in your program before, but just a fantastic kid. I think she might have set the program record in rebounding. recently. But what do you see from this bracket? This is going to be our final bracket we talk about.
It's going to be. I mean, Western Reserve is certainly the favorite. You were on my show the other night. We had CJ Julian from East Canton, and I'm not going to count East Canton out.
Yeah,
like they're. I don't see them getting beat before the district finals, and I believe that he's going to have his team ready to play Western Reserve. Traditionally, they do well against post players. They don't have a post player, but they have Izzy Klein.
Yes.
And she's athletic. She's 5'10" and athletic. I'm sorry, Bella Klein. Izzy Klein used to play at Newton Falls.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds familiar.
Bella Klein is 5'10", very athletic, and she guarded Grace Lyon earlier the year at Fairless, who was 6'1" and very good. She defended her really well. So East Canton will be ready to play that game. I think Western Reserve still has the advantage, but I'm not counting out a upset there for East Canton.
Okay. All right, very good. So I that's a lot of I threw a lot at you right there, but I mean that just shows your expertise
built for this.
In our in our area especially. So let's talk a little bit. I don't want to keep you too long, but let's talk a little bit about your show and what you're doing. So tell us, first of all, tell people that might be watching our show or might be listening on podcast tomorrow about your show and what you do and stuff. We talked a little bit about Hall of Fame Huddle, but let's talk about your show.
Well, if they're not interested in girls basketball, they probably shouldn't listen. So I'll just start with that. Be honestly, I don't know where they can find it. Just go on YouTube and search HOF Huddle. Okay. It's up on that page. I do it through YouTube. My Twitter handle is HOF Huddle _Rich. If you want an interesting Twitter follow, go ahead. But I'm not gonna blame you if you follow me and unfollow me a day or two later. It's all we post all links on there. I'm just trying to spread girls basketball. Maybe it was out of boredom. I don't know.
I've coached on both the boys side and the girls side, and there's definitely a difference, in exposure and things. And I think what you're doing is you're bringing more exposure to the girls game. And I think a lot of people appreciate that because, and I'm speaking from mostly a Youngstown perspective, but I guess Northeast Ohio as a whole, there are a lot of good basketball players.
Oh yeah,
in this area, especially when you regionalize it out to Northeast Ohio. Your Cantons and Akrons. I know there's some schools down in Columbus and Cincinnati, but I would argue Northeast Ohio is possibly the best area of in the state. If not, you go into Pennsylvania, you go into Indiana, you go into Michigan, you go into West Virginia, Kentucky. We can compete against just about anybody.
I mean, if you're going to make it a regional thing, for sure. If you get a little more specific, I don't think Canton or Akron can hang with like Columbus or Cincinnati. Or even Cleveland cannot hang with Columbus or Cincinnati for that matter. But if you just go, Northeast, if you just split the state into 4, I really like our shot, because that includes Cleveland, Canton, Akron, Youngstown. There's some good basketball up on the river. On the lake.
Yeah, right.
I swear I love geography. I'm not that dumb.
You're fine.
There's great basketball players in Northeast Ohio, and my show, we branch out and go all over Ohio because I want to talk to some personalities from Cincinnati and Dayton, even though we're all Dayton in some people's minds. But Columbus, I love being able to talk to people from around the state. While the season's in, we do talk mostly coaches. When the season ends, I plan on, every Tuesday night at 8:30 is when we have the show, and I would love for it to continue every week. I've done it from downtown Cleveland. I've done it from Shelby, Ohio.
Okay.
I've done it from my house. I've done it from my office. It can go on the move, so I don't plan on it ending.
Okay.
But, hopefully I don't even have to take a 1-week break, but
well, there's always
I'm not
so
as professional
topics.
as this. I mean, when I walked in this place, man, there's just so much technology. I got a computer, a podcaster, a $350 pair of headphones that I don't even like. When I started, it was literally just my face on the screen.
Yeah.
Thank God I learned a little bit as we went, and now I can get other people on there, but it's not as professional as this.
Well, you do a great job though.
I take pride in not being professional, man. I mean, come on.
Okay. All right.
I don't like being business like a professional.
Let's address real quick the elephant in the room too. I gotta, people watching, they're seeing you. They're like, this is a cool looking dude. So I gotta ask you about the mullet. We talked a little bit off air. Where'd it come from, or where'd you think of it from?
Quite honestly, I don't know. Somebody just said to me one time, I think it was even on Twitter, you should grow a mullet. I used to have the beard. Yeah. And, I had to get rid of it because I went out to Vegas and out west, and I just got so dry, and I was scratching. So the beard is coming back.
Okay.
For those of you who haven't seen me since I shaved, they're probably doing a double, triple take, but the beard is on its way back. The mullet is going strong.
Okay.
I mean, I've had it for almost a year now. I don't know if it's cool enough to get me a date with Alexis Walters. But Alexis, if you're listening, I would definitely like to take you out. I mean, I would probably take her to JR Grinders. I'm not leaving Youngstown area without JR Grinders.
All right, fair enough. I love it.
If I last a week with her, I already have our 1 week anniversary trip planned to Zion. So, Alexis, if you're listening, hey. I don't know much about the weather, but hey.
I love it. Well, at least it shows you watch our show.
I'm wearing shorts, so I don't know. I might need to watch her weathercast.
I might borderline be crying here. I'm laughing so much. I love it.
I could get retweets too. I mean, if that's what it's going to take, I can get retweets on a tweet. That is no problem.
Okay, that's fair. I love it. Let's expand our. I'm going to try to wrap it up in about 5 minutes here, but
we're just now having fun.
I know. Well, I've been having fun the whole time, man. So I got to ask you a couple questions about just random basketball topics. So one.
Oh God.
Well, I'm going to keep this one simple. Just shot clock.
Shot clock, no way.
You don't think there should be a shot clock?
Nope.
Okay. Why do you say that?
The quality of basketball from top to bottom is really bad.
Okay.
I mean, if we could say this will never happen, if we could put it on certain games,
sure.
Like let's use it in the Federal League where, Glen Oak and Hoover are playing. I would be in favor of that. Let's use it. Nobody would ever want to just put it in the districts or regionals, but I think the quality of basketball there would be good enough to have it. But when we're talking, I mean, let's just take our pick here.
Right.
I'm not going to put anybody out there, but I see a lot of basketball, and a lot of it is trash. Mm-hmm. And if you think a shot clock is going to make it any better,
that's a great point.
You're out of your mind.
That's a great point.
And the topic of a shot clock only comes up when there's a team that stalls. Otherwise. And that's what, 5 games a year?
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, who's taking 24 seconds to get a shot off anyway?
I'm going to go back to a game that was a few years back, and it was Columbiana, who Coach Michella, who used to coach in Fort.
Oh God, I was at that game. Salem.
Yeah, it was Columbiana and Salem, and they were playing at the Struthers Fieldhouse. And I have respect for both of those coaches that were in that game, but when you see two really good teams like that, and then, I believe it was the whole second quarter, the ball was held. And for 7 minutes of the 8 minutes, the ball was held, and this is getting into districts, and that's just, and as a coach, you do what it takes to win. But to me, I think maybe that prevents a shot clock, obviously prevents something like that.
Well, I'm also a defensive guy, so I would say, hey, go defend them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's how we play, and I
think that's fair.
I would make them move. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's as cut and dry. I don't like that. I don't like them holding the ball.
Sure.
But I put more. I don't know what the word is. I put more blame on the defensive coach than the offensive coach. Sure. Make them uncomfortable.
Right.
Go defend them.
Good point. Okay.
I mean, you may get beat off the dribble, but if you've taught defense through the year, you got to be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to help the helper, recover. It shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to defend anybody. If nothing else, switch and put your best defender on the ball.
Sure. Right. Good point. Okay. The con to it I see is especially a lot of athletic departments that aren't funded correctly already.
Oh, absolutely.
The cost of, just installing a shot clock.
Plus, let's be honest, you got to have somebody smart enough to do that.
Good point.
I'm not. I'm not the smartest guy in the world either.
You're selling me on why not to do it.
But I did run a shot clock for a college game last year. Actually,
okay.
I was the emergency fill-in at a college game.
Okay,
and I ran a shot clock, and it wasn't fun. I was just smart enough to get it done, but
it's probably a lot of pressure. Especially if
absolutely.
It's a tight game.
And you got to know all the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an offensive rebound, flip
the clock.
You got to reset it.
Yeah.
On a dead ball, does it start at 0? Does it not?
Mm-hmm.
If it, and it's different whether it's a foul or it goes out of bounds.
Sure.
You got to know all the rules. And I'm sorry, but there's enough parents yelling at the clock operators as it is.
No doubt. That's a great point. That's a great point. And then. And I talked to you a little bit on your show the other night about this, but I just kind of want you're a big Duke Blue Devils fan. One of the classic.
Yeah, we got a win last night.
I just want to know what's your thoughts on them this season and why they're struggling so much.
Well, I don't. I mean,
or what do you think they
the
need
COVID
to do?
season in general is hammering a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, nobody's had the schedule or the off season that they're used to. It hurts teams like Duke and Kentucky more when they're getting the teams that have the more freshmen coming in that aren't accustomed to the coach and the style and already know the playbook, and it hurts them more. I always took pride in Coach K being one of the last coaches to go to the one and done kids, and I thought while everyone else was transitioning to that, Duke was not. They had a couple years where they were, successful because of that. Mm-hmm. But now you just don't have any choice, I don't think.
Sure.
So they have transitioned to that themselves, and it's hurting them. I lost a little bit of respect for Coach K, and some of the stuff that happened early in the season where they lost a couple non-league games, and then now all of a sudden you don't want to play non-league games anymore. Come on, man, be a competitor. That's all I gotta say.
The only issue I had really with Coach K this year was when he called out that student reporter. I think it was a
oh god, yeah, that was terrible too.
That kind of drove me nuts.
That was terrible.
It's a college kid, So.
And it pains me to say that because I do love Coach K, and I'm a Duke fan.
One of the best that's ever done it.
But those two things, the student reporter and kind of canceling the non-league schedule, I didn't like it. So hopefully they get in a tournament. You would think that a team like Duke, if they could at least get a couple wins and get over 500, ESPN is not stupid. They know who these people want to tune in and watch. So hopefully that gives them a little bit of an advantage. But man, I don't see them going very far, even if they do.
True. Okay. And then you're a Cavs guy, Cavs fan.
Oh, love Cavs.
So
season ticket holder.
Tell me, they're on a major West Coast swing and they're going through a tough time. So I guess I want to know your thoughts on, I guess some of the young core guys, but also some of the guys that you think might be on their way out, such as an Andre Drummond, such as a Kevin Love. So I guess just thoughts.
I hate that we got to get rid of Drummond. I really like Drummond. I think he could contribute. I guess the writing was on the wall when we traded for Jared Allen. It sucks that we got to get rid of him.
I know. It does.
Because I really like him, and I think he came in ready to play and was getting after it. When his minutes went down recently, I guess he got a little attitude, but that's nothing new I'm actually listening to the audiobook, Three Ring Circus with the Lakers from 96 to 2004. And oh my goodness, Kobe Bryant punched a dude in the face. I never knew that. Samaki Walker, he punched him in the bus. So I guess the Cavs problems are minimal.
Right.
As anybody who follows me on Twitter knows, I'm a huge Colin Sexton fan. I thought he was a superstar from the get-go. I got harassed and ridiculed and everything in the book because he shot like 37% as a rookie, and now I don't think he's been playing great recently, but overall this season he's playing outstanding.
He's a scorer, straight up scorer.
And if you have a chance to get a dude that's just a dog, like just don't back down from anybody, don't care. You have to have players like that.
My favorite video is that one from him in high school where that kid like looks at him and then he just stares right back at him and the kid looks away.
Yeah, that's gonna live on the internet forever. I think it's time for Love to go. I don't like it, but I think it's time. I mean, when's the last time he played? It's just while we can maybe get something for him, it's probably time, and maybe he does want to play for somebody that's a competitor, but. Love Larry Nance. Not a huge fan of Garland. I think he's playing a lot better this year than he did last year, but I'm just not sold on him.
Yeah.
Who else we got? I dislike Jetty Osman terribly. Who else? Jared. I love both the guys we traded.
Yeah.
For the Nets, Prince and Allen. I think they're both great. Wingler came in, while he was not injured, showed a little something. I think he could be a solid bench player. Man, that's got to cover it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think half of the guys, if they were on
JaVale McGee.
Yeah. He's a scrapper, man.
I can't help but to like JaVale McGee.
He's just a goofy dude, but you gotta like him. But yeah, I think half the Cavs' problem is all their money is tied up in these guys that aren't even on the court right now. So. They're going to have to trade, hopefully bring in some young assets, but
it's looking like we're going to get at least another top 10 pick.
Unfortunately, I thought,
I really thought we could make the playoffs this year.
I really thought we could make
We've taken a bad turn the last, and maybe it's just the road trip. Hopefully we can get back home and get some wins,
healthy and get some wins under the belt. Like, cause I think, you can lose for a year or two, maybe even 3, but like once you start getting into like year 3, year 4, and guys are constantly losing, that sets a bad culture, a bad tone. And, now it's been the 3rd season since LeBron left, and it's like, it's time to start turning that corner, and hopefully.
That reminds me of Okoro. I like Okoro too. And when you bring up LeBron, who I can't stand, he's left us high and dry 2 times now.
Sure.
I would have no problem with him leaving if, it was something, every other superstar in the world gets somebody in return.
Sure. Right.
Or their team gets something in return when they leave, except for the Cavs twice. The only thing we were left with was contracts from Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith, who are his buddies that we couldn't move. I don't like that we more than once we got stuck just
right.
And there was no going up from where he left. It was down before we go up.
That's a good point.
But it reminds me of Okoro when they played the Lakers. That was the first time I've watched LeBron play since he left. And Okoro was I know LeBron had a great game, but I love that Okoro wasn't afraid of him. And he was in his grill, and he defended him the best he could, and he wasn't shy. So I think Okoro's got a little bit of that chip on his shoulder that Sexton has, and if we can get a couple more of those guys, I think
that's what you need.
I thought we were going to be all right this year, but I'm keeping my season tickets unless they trade Sexton, then I'm out.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough.
All those jerseys I got of Sexton, they better not go to waste.
How many you got?
I have 3. 2 of them are autographed.
Okay, all right, very nice.
I didn't buy either one of them.
Oh, okay. Even
I actually got to meet him when he was a rookie.
Okay.
A player of mine, her dad, Lou Vittantonio, I don't even want to know. I don't want to say what he is because I don't know, but he runs the Cleveland Auto Show.
Okay.
And they had Sexton up there when he was a rookie, so nice. he knew how much I liked him. He invited me up. I literally got to meet him and talk to him before he went out to sign autographs at the auto show, and
very cool.
Signed some pictures for me and a jersey.
Very nice.
And then on the way out, Lou turns around, says, "Rich," and he threw me another jersey that was already signed. So
nothing wrong with that.
Lou's my guy.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Well, Rich, first of all, you drove in from Canton in this awful weather.
Man, I deliver food every day for a living. This was a piece of cake.
Well, I just want to thank you for, first of all, taking time out of your day, driving down here, and, again, being a great ambassador for girls basketball in the state of Ohio and around the country, and what you do. Like you said, over 70 girls in the past 6 years have gotten to college through your program, and hopefully those numbers keep going up. So,
well, I enjoy being able to reach more kids than just my own. That's they're clearly not mine, but
right. I hear what you're saying.
Just being able to help kids across the state, even some out of the state. My showcases that if I had to pick one, AAU would probably go.
Okay.
Not that I don't love it, but I really enjoy being able to get to know more people and help more people. Thank God I don't have to choose, but we have a great 22 class it's gonna be our biggest class ever.
Okay.
I mean, so I'm really excited.
Any showcases coming up that you can plug a little bit?
I actually, in March, we're pretty loaded. Me and Caleb South from the Dayton area are running the All Ohio camp. And it's top-notch kids. We're only taking 60 players.
Okay.
We have about 30 right now, kids that have Division I offers. Some of them have a lot of Division I offers. Some kids that have some Division II offers, and then some other kids that are right outside that will or should have offers.
Just get some coaches' eyes on them.
Yeah, so that's March 14th, and like I said, it's very selective. I mean, you can't just register and get in. You have to apply. We look at highlights and what your offers are, what you may have earned in the previous year or two.
Okay.
And then we decide from there. But then the following Sunday, March 21st, is the NWO showcase in Toledo, Ohio. Last year we had 60 kids and 32 college coaches, which a 2-to-1 ratio is unreal.
Yeah.
It's unheard of. We're going to have more kids this year and hopefully more coaches. With everything going on, you just never know exactly. But then March 28th is the NEO showcase, which is the one. It's only the second one I've done in the spring, but I've been running them, every year since 2015 or 14. And that's the big one. Last year we had 57 coaches for 120 kids.
Wow.
The fall event, we had 63 coaches.
Okay.
And 120 kids. So
if we have a parent of a player or a player that might be watching or listening to the show, where do they go to possibly register for an event like that?
You go to my website, hofhuddle.com. A lot of things, everything I do is on there. You can navigate the website and there's a link with all the events that I do. The only one that's open to the public for registration is the NWO.
Okay.
The NEO it's an open registration, but it's not a public registration, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of want to filter the kids a little bit, but not totally. And then, everything else that I do on there, I have some list of kids that I've seen that are really good. I have a lot of teams from the Canton area's schedule on the website. So, again, my Twitter, HOF Huddle _Rich. It's not for the
the light of heart,
the light of heart, or the thin of skin sometimes. Everything I'm doing is on there, and
love it though. You're a great Twitter follow. You're an entertaining dude, and we appreciate all you're doing for our high school programs around the state. So,
are you going to make sure Alexis Walters watches this?
I can't promise. I'll send her a quick message, but I can't promise. She might be watching now. I don't know.
I doubt it.
So so again, Rich, thank you. Alexis, hey, you heard it here from Rich. So.
I mean, if I got references, I got plenty of kids that will speak highly for me. I mean, whatever it takes.
I love it. All right, guys. So that's going to be our show for today. Everybody have a great Thursday and weekend, and we'll be back next Tuesday. So everybody have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. If you like our programming, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, or subscribe to your favorite podcast platform like iTunes or Spotify. This is original Youngstown content, and we would appreciate you sharing the videos and the word about us. Thank you.